What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Shred Your Body. I can't believe it. Obviously, my guest tonight, my sister from another mister, my good, not my friend. Susan, you really are my sister. I think you are my sister because the conversations that we have, like I'm super grateful to just have a person like you that I could go to for advice. You have I'm just going to call them extra years of experience, wise experience. And I love the fact that I can have this with you. I'm super grateful for it. And I know I've told you that before, but I'm going to keep telling you. So
I feel the same way.
all right. So listen, I want to read something real quick before we go, before we get into something. I had it right here. Here we go. Okay. So first off, if people haven't heard of the ER Shred yet, this is our 1-year anniversary. We're literally in the second day of our 1-year anniversary shred. I don't even know. Do you know how many people we have like doing the shred right now? How many hundreds of people are doing it?
A ton. I don't know.
I don't even know how many. I've lost track, which actually is a good thing because in the beginning I used to be able to keep track of everybody, and now I look in the group and I'm like, where did that person come from? Oh my God. Like I saw like 7 of those testimonials today, and it just like lights my soul. It like literally like tickles me every freaking day. But if you've never heard of it, I'll give you a very quick breakdown, and then Susan and I are going to jump into our main content tonight because I feel like we got a lot of great information to share with people. Hopefully, a lot of stuff that can set some people free. If you've been struggling, right, Susan? People struggle. It's
Absolutely.
part of the journey. You and I have been coaching combined 60 years. Can you believe that? Like we have 60 years of experience together that people are getting and real life. And this isn't just coaching. What I love about you, Susan, is you've had a really crazy health journey yourself, and you went through the ringer. I've talked to you over 20 years. I've put myself through the ringer. I've had, bouts. I wouldn't say health crises, but I definitely, was struggling with my own things. I'd say more physical and mental, finding that connection in health and mindset and stuff. But put myself through the ringer. So I think what makes us so I'm just going to say valuable in a very non-cocky way, but the fact that like we're here, you're thriving at your age, I'm thriving at my age, like we're years and years behind where we should be according to, right, like what do they call that, the inner age?
I forget metabolic age,
like your metabolic age, you know what I mean? Like I might be 42, but like my insides are like screaming they're 19, you know what I mean? And your insides are screaming 25 years younger than you are. Like that's a great place to be. So I think what makes it so valuable is that we've screwed it up so much. We went through our own journey. We've tried everything. We've spent thousands of dollars on education, thousands of hours on learning, messed it all up, did it well, helped a lot of people along the way, made some mistakes, learned about it. And now here we are today being able to share all of that. And I love that. And I love that about you because you're so real. But I think that's what makes you, for me, what I've always been really kind of like, oh wow, we click, is like you're just that real person, and I could tell. So I hope people can see that too. But real quick for people, Susan, before we go, the ER Shreds a nutritional dietary lifestyle empowerment protocol. By fully satiating the body's needs, we are able to take back control. This is huge, and what really separates, like, take back control, and no doubt our shredders take back control.
Absolutely.
We take back control of the diet, which is the common denominator of overall well-being. Literally, food talks to your cells. Every single bite you choose. Like, you got to understand how powerful this is. Food can either be your poison or your pain, or it can serve as your fuel and your fortitude. Come alive and learn to feel your way to good health for the first time. Literally, I don't think people have ever felt this good in a long time, if not ever. maybe when they were born, obviously, before we like polluted ourselves, right? Only you can do it. ER Shred provides the tracks to run on for your ultimate self-discovery. That was written by
Exactly.
our very, very, very good friend, our brother from another mother, Sean Escobar, right? And I love that. It really sums up. It's powerful. And for those that have experienced the ER Shred, you know the depth of that message. And if you do, please comment in there, drop some comments, let people know that might not have, maybe they're looking at the ER Shred. Share your results, share your wins, share your non-scale victories, like tag some friends, like get this out, because everybody needs what we got. Don't you think, Susan?
Absolutely.
Cool. So here's where I want to start, if you don't mind. I think a lot of people struggle. Actually, I know a lot of people struggle, and I think so do you. Here in ER Shred World, we like to make sure that we are upfront, honest with everybody. Before we do that, I'll do a quick disclaimer. We are not here to treat, cure, prevent disease of any kind whatsoever. We are not a magical pill. We are not a magical potion. The ER Shred does not do any of that. It's a empowerment community that's going to give you the tracks to run on. You, my friends, you as a human being are the ultimate miracle. And when given a fighting chance, your body, you, the miracle, will come back to life. You will heal yourself. Like, it will happen. Like, just, it will. And it's not the ER Shred that does it. It's everything that you're going to put into it. So let's free some people, Susan, because I feel like on a journey to health, right? A lot of people that come to see you, describe to people, what's the average person when they finally get to Susan? What is an average person like? Where are they at? Where are they at in their journey?
Well, it's been in different arenas, but usually my best.
What I mean is, like, what's their state of being? Like, are they coming to you first when they first?
No, they've already tried many
Right.
things, and they may have felt well for a while, but they're always cycling, and it's usually the same condition that keeps rearing up. And so there's so much out there, as far as it's like we're raised and trained in symptom management. So people miss that it's changing the bioterrain, the ecosystem that is you.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes they've done herbal programs, but they haven't done the diet. Sometimes they've done the diet, but they've been really stressed and they didn't give up certain things.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason why people stay in chronic illness. And a lot of times it is mindset.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing you correctly, and I'm going to use a little bit of my own experience too from coaching, when people first reach out to me, mm-hmm. pretty much the same as what you just said. Usually people are beyond frustrated.
Yes.
Usually people are aggravated. Usually people are stressed out. They're pissed off. They're mad they've actually become mad at themselves, blaming themselves, which yes and no. I think that's a touchy line, right? Because there's some responsibility that we have to take for the choices that we choose to make. But there's others that if you don't know, if you haven't spent your life like Susan and I studying this and being in the mix and seeing the good and the bad, you know what I mean? And you haven't seen that, it's frustrating and it's aggravating. And I know through the years, Susan, even through our studies, right? Like there's things that we have to question and there's things that aggravate us and we go back. So my point is people might be coming to the ER Shred at a point where they're frustrated, they're tired, they're burnt out. Like life is just like boof, right? Like we've just had a tough year. And, the ER Shred, we like to say, suck it up, buttercup. And we like to say, stop crying. And I want to just clarify when I say that, Susan, you walk the same line with me. And we had a phone call earlier today and you kind of laid it out beautifully. You said, I love that. You're a little bit harder. I'm a little bit softer. I agree. I think that's where that's there. But when I say that, suck it up, buttercup, what's the difference, do you think? Like, where are people, can we try to define, like, there are some things that some people obviously have to address, right? and there's some things that you can't just suck it up buttercup. So we're trying to eliminate the fact of the poor excuses, right? And trying to beat those bad habits out, but still identify and be wary of like where you're at too, and give yourself permission to have that balance, right?
Right. So, well, for me, I get the suck it up buttercup. And actually, the other morning I did a really intense workout, and I was talking to myself saying, you can do hard things.
Yeah.
So I use those words, but for me, it's like, and I've spoken about this before, it's about these things, these excuses, instead of judging them, that chatter in the head, bargaining, judging, go above it. Look at, what am I telling myself, and start questioning that. And in that place is where you get to tear down why you're telling yourself certain things.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is a very deep journey into knowing yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's probably, I think out of all the tips that we could give somebody, in my opinion, and maybe you agree, maybe you don't, I think that's one of the most valuable tips is, really identifying, getting that mindset right, giving yourself the time and the permission and the space to evolve, get into a new groove, create new habits. What happens if I mess up, Susan? A lot of people, people are going hardcore. They're drinking Diet Coke every single day, 7 days a week, multiple times throughout the day. They got very, very little nutrition over the years. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And it's going to shock them. It's going to shock them first. It's going to shock them before they glow. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's going to shock them.
Yes.
And what happens if they have an off day? Like, a lot of people we see in the group, I see, I kind of made a mistake and I fell off and I did this. Like, what do you talk about that a little bit? What can we share with you?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, so we say come alive. It's not like, all of a sudden you are alive, you're coming alive. It's a process. Yeah. And, so, and we all do this kind of stuff. Some of you guys, like you, Jesse, and maybe Sean, I know a couple of people in my life, they say, you know what, I'm making a decision. I'm stopping this and I'm doing this. And they do it. But most people don't do that.
It's not most people. No.
So we have to kind of have a sense of humor about that. So if you're on a cleanse day and let's say you have something, don't give up your whole cleanse. It's like, that's like the excuse we use. Well, I had that, so it's all blown, but that's not the case. You can still keep going.
Yeah.
And, and as I said, I hope I language this in a way. It's like, pay attention to what you're telling yourself. And instead of being like who's in charge here? Like if you're having a thought, well, I could just have this. Like ask that question out loud. Who's in charge here? And tear down what you're telling yourself. Usually it's even if you act on it and you have whatever, it's a journey to discovering what your triggers are.
Yeah.
And then you have the awareness to really change those things. And then I want to say another thing. I know.
So wait, real quick. How can people free themselves? Okay. Because this, for somebody who has been addicted to food, okay, for somebody who's been addicted to non-nutrient dense food and doesn't understand just quite yet that food's the most powerful legal drug on the face of the planet. Yeah. And you're going to have that realization excuse me, I'm busy. Where you're going to have that realization that, of this, if you do this, okay, which is key. But throughout this process, like when they're having these conversations with themselves, right? Like are there other questions? Cause I know you've spent so much time on the mind and self-development and self-work for you. Like, can I maybe kind of pull a little bit more tips from you? Like maybe even get a little bit more of what you're trying to say?
Well, it really is paying attention and understanding, however you language it, understanding your own operating systems. So for me, and a lot of people have said this about the ER shred, about they feel clearer. So I think that this is sort of like if your intention is to find these things for yourself and what motivates you and why you do the things you don't want to do and don't do the things you do want to do. We get caught up in judging that, and then that's just the hamster wheel. Whereas we get to step back from that and say, okay, what exactly is going on here? And that doesn't make us perfect. That is part of the journey. But it's just about questioning where we are and personal responsibility. And for me, I keep things really simple. Like, I'll tell my head to shut up. I'll ask the question, who's in charge here? I'll say out loud, you can do hard things. Suck it up, buttercup. Some people that works for some. It's more than just suck it up, buttercup. Because for people that are coming to this, and we all have stress release that we do with food, emotional, that's something that we have to honor, that journey for each person. It can be very painful, but to recognize that, it's not like we're all different. We all have these things.
Yeah. I want to share with people, I posted a comment. Can you see the comment that's on the screen right now from Cheryl Hill? So Cheryl said, even with 3 dirty shreds, I've been able to close my Apple Watch band another notch and identify white potatoes as a trigger. Now, that's, first of all, Cheryl, thank you for being honest. Thank you for posting that. I applaud you for that. I want to touch on something, Susan, that you and I actually kind of geeked out about. It's so powerful and it's so simple. It's something I learned when I went to IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition. It's something you learned along your way in holistic functional medicine. And it's funny because they're teaching the same thing. But it's called crowding out. And this fits into this journey. And what do we mean by, when I say crowd out, Susan, can you explain to people, what does that mean? Because I think the ER Shred does a remarkable job at crowding out quickly, but we can also take it in different levels, right? Depending upon where somebody's at, where they're coming to us from, really what's the health situation. There's so many factors that we can't identify exactly, but for the basic overview, what is crowding out?
I love that expression for so many reasons. To me, I like I've been dealing with health stuff for so long. I've lost patience with a lot of the, it's like, this is the way it is.
I know.
The crowding out is so powerful because by utilizing that, it's like there's so many ways you can look at that energy. It's like you're going to war. You're going to war. You're saying, I'm doing this, but I know that if I crowd it out, it's going to get better because people are telling me so, and I'm watching people do it. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is your body is always moving towards balance. So as we're putting in great stuff, you less and less want the other stuff. And that's another whole interesting dynamic because, we were all raised a certain kind of way. So I get these thoughts in my head that I want, like on a Sunday, my family did bagels and Nova and all. And I tell myself I want it. But if I question that for a minute, well, no, I really don't taste those things anymore.
Right.
So that's part of the journey. And that's what crowding out does.
So, okay. So this is fascinating. There's 2 key things that just popped up for me. So crowding out, meaning that we want you, here's where I draw the line. Okay. I want you to be disciplined enough to not be weak and just say, oh, Susan and Jesse said I could be easy and I'm going to, it's okay if I slip and just eat this bagel. Do you really need it? What's going on? You know what I mean? Have you done that work first? And then if you did have it, okay, don't freak out. Okay.
Move on.
Understand that one little slip. You see, I have this crazy, I don't know if I've ever shared this formula with you, but it really is an eye opener. So I want to share it with people real quick. If you look at the average time, would you say that it's fair the average person eats 5 or 6 times a day between snacks and meals, and think about throughout the day?
Maybe. Yeah.
5
I know
times?
people that eat less, but yeah, I know a lot of people that don't nourish themselves.
I mean, what I'm saying is for a basic thing, let's just kind of use this. So let's say 5 times to make it easy. So you eat 5 times every day, 7 days a week. That's 35 chances that you get to choose what the food is going to say to your cells, how it's going to talk to you, how it's going to rejuvenate, how it's going to fuel. Okay. So if you have, a couple oopsies, right? In the moment, it's like, oh my God, I just screwed up, right? That you have to work on. I can't help you on this call. That's a lot of past trauma. That's a lot of mental juju that you got to dig deep with, and what Susan kind of briefly touched on. And we can, that's other stuff that we can go into. But it's like, if you do that, let's say, even once every day, Susan, okay? So out of 35 chances, 7 of those chances were like, oops. The overall percentage of good versus bad is still dominant.
Okay.
So we're still fueling our body. So people can relax a little bit and not be so tough on themselves. And I think we're tough on ourselves because, for so many years we read magazines that said our lips aren't plump enough and our skinny, our jeans don't fit right. And we have to be this and we've created all this stuff, right? So I'm trying to just ease people's tension a little bit and let them realize that, ER Shred's not about perfection, right? It's not about
not at all.
It's about you. It's about finding your place. It's about coming alive in inside, from the inside out, right? Literally from the inside out. I mean, it's crazy, right? What can happen if you stick with it. And that's all because of these bigger things. But to get to this point, you might have to have a little bit of forgiveness in the beginning and realize that one mistake is not going to derail your entire mission.
Right.
You just need to kick yourself in the ass. This is where you need to suck it up, buttercup. This is where it comes in. This is where it comes in. This is where you need to not let it go forever and just get back on track. Because at the end of the day, in the bigger scheme of things, it's not bad. And if you're always used to eating, let's say, I call it poisonous stuff. Really, it is. It's sugar, it's flour, it's stuff that has zero nutritional value. So it's not fueling my body. So for me, it doesn't, I don't know what it is really. But if you're limiting that and putting in more of the other, you're crowding out, which you explain, but maybe in a different sense for somebody who didn't quite get it, maybe. So you're taking nutrient density, loads of vitamins, loads of minerals, trace minerals, all the stuff that your cells are screaming for every day, because you need 70 trace minerals every day, right? And you're putting in more of that than not. You're crowding out the bad. So eventually, if you do that and you honor that process, cravings will diminish, things will subside.
Right.
Remember, you said, Susan, right? The body always wants to maintain homeostasis.
Right.
We always want to be balanced, right? So hopefully people can get, for crowding out, there's that, right, with food. And hopefully I know you and I talked about wanting to kind of free people a little bit. I don't want people to feel bad because I'm always sucking up buttercup, right? But I hope you can understand the difference. Like, if you're just making excuses because you're used to making excuses, I need to kick you in the ass. Well, I need to give you a friendly, swift buta in the tusha, right? That's what I need to do, and get you on track. So, but if you're going through this journey and you've been so long for so much time, and we're doing a complete flip, I understand the process might be a little gooky, right? It might be a little sticky. It might be, the mud might be a little bit deeper for some than others.
Yes, but we have a different approach. You just languaged it. For me, it's more about pay attention. Yeah. Pay attention to your thoughts, what's taking you off. Start developing your own awareness around what's going on. And if you make a mistake or you fail or you make a choice that you wish you didn't, instead of spending the time and the energy in kicking yourself, don't just move on from there.
Yeah.
Just move on from there. And just because, I've had some people say to me, they're on a cleanse day, they had an apple. And so, I blew the whole day. Well, no, right. And then, for me, like you say.
And I hope, I know we're joking about this, but it's like.
This is very
for somebody that's just starting.
This is very emotional.
That's just starting on this journey. like I remember, I try to put myself back in that place, Susan. You know what I mean? And remember what it was like. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, okay. Anything else you want to say on that?
Well, I was saying this is a very emotional place.
Yes.
For many, many people, and they have to honor that part of their journey too. So I think self-talk is really good. You know, for me, it's like, who's in charge? And I don't say it like that. I say, who the F is in charge here?
Yeah.
And I'll say that to myself.
You just say it how it is.
Yeah, like that. And then the other thing I want to talk about is, you know, a lot of people, as they're finding their way and doing what they really want to do, and they're using affirmations. Well, I like incantations. And there's a big difference with, you know, whatever an affirmation is, and saying that I am doing this today. I am following the program. I am going to nourish myself. I am going to take care of myself. So I like incantations. It brings an energy to it.
I like that. I like that. So incantations is putting yourself like in that.
Like I am doing this rather than I trust myself to overcome. I don't know. There's just a different energy to stating to the universe.
Absolutely. So you're literally, yeah, you're commanding yourself, like you're giving yourself that direction and almost telling yourself what it is. I would suggest to people, if they can, to either do that. I would suggest taking it one step further, and instead of just actually saying them to yourself, especially if you're beginning, I would suggest writing them down. And I would suggest writing them down the night before you actually go to bed. And then when you wake up in the morning, literally like after you go tinkle, you read them again to yourself for that day. And then maybe again at lunchtime, and then maybe again at the end of the day. Because learning to shift the subconscious and to train that part of the brain to start to identify this positive talk that Susan's speaking of, number one, is actually hard work. But again, you can do hard things and you deserve it, just like you deserve your health, just like you deserve everything. And it's part of the process, which is why it's so important to Susan and I that we spend so much depth in this. It can literally make or break your success. Like I believe that in my soul. If you get the thought process right, go ahead. You can interrupt me anytime you want.
Well, that's 90% of it is the mindset. And, you know, and we talked about this, and this is why we did keep doing the mindset piece, because, you know, sometimes when you look at things in the group, it looks like cleansing is easy. Everybody's just got it. Well, that is not the case. So for the people that are looking at that and saying like, why is that so easy for them?
Well, they start judging, right? Why is it so hard for me? Why do I struggle? Why?
And so all I wanted to tonight, I wanted to say, we know that you're there. We know that this goes on. We've walked our own journeys. We're here to help. You know, a lot of people reach out to me privately, but that's part of, you know, the process of coming alive. So no, it's not easy for everyone. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's 100% a thing. And I want to take it even further. And I want to tell you that it's okay. It's okay. Like, I don't want you to run from that anymore. Like, you have to, you know, again, this is a journey. And, you know, you're dealing with a lot, you know, we can't go into it all because the body's so complicated, but you are going to go into a lot of functional processes and shifting and, you know, microbiome stuff and the flipping of the good gut bacteria to the, you know, the bad to the good. I mean, guys, this is a journey. This is a process. You did not get here yesterday. It's taken years. So honor the process. We do, like Susan said, we know you're there, and you're welcome, just like everybody. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. You know, it's okay for you to say, hey, I'm having a rough day. Like, that's also part of this community. I don't expect you to show up with rainbows shooting from your bum every day. Like, that's just not reality. You know what I mean? Like, you might be able to put on your unicorn onesie, Susan, but
tomorrow.
But every day is not unicorn day. You know what I mean? And I need people to be okay with that. Like sometimes we sulk in that too. And if we can just start to make these little shifts, make these little adjustments in the brain, start to talk to ourselves differently, set ourselves up for success the night before leading into the day. The little self-talk, things that Susan shared with you guys. Like these are things that, mind you, I don't know about you, Susan, but like I'm sharing this like it's nothing. But like literally over the last 20 years of my life, I've like taken courses. I've learned about, neural engine, you know what I mean? NLP. I've learned about, you know what I mean? Like all these other, like I've done the work and the books and the, you know what I mean? So it's a process of taking it, figure out one thing. Would you suggest the same one or two things?
Yeah. Yes, exactly what you said, to pay attention. And it is innate. We've been trained away from this. So this is something that is like coming home as you start walking the path. And I heard someone say just last week, and I love this, is she was talking to me and she said, just because I'm stressed doesn't mean I have to hurt myself. And so that's what I would throw out there. Powerful. And why I remember this as a nurse when I was doing home health and I had a terrible day. And this is before all of this. This is years and years and years ago. And that was the first light bulb moment. I was in line at Arby's getting a Jamocha shake. And the question came in my mind that was like, you're so stressed and so keyed up today. Why are you doing something that you know is not good for you? I still got the Jamocha shake, but I never forgot the moment because that's when the first light bulb went on. It's like, okay, let me look at this a little bit different. So that was part of my journey.
Interesting. That's huge. Like if you can catch, that's what you can actually, I forgot where I learned this. Gosh,
it was a life-changing moment.
I learned something in some seminar. I forgot who it was, but it's called a pattern interrupt.
Exactly.
That's what you just did.
That's Tony Robbins.
If you guys can start to pattern interrupt what you don't want to happen. And sometimes you've done this stuff for so long that it's literally a habit. It's literally a habit. And you're going to have to identify and be real with yourself. Okay. That's important to always honor the realness in yourself. Okay. Don't lie to yourself. Shamefully, I did this for many years and it's just horrible. Okay. Like it's horrible. It's miserable. It will ruin so many years of your life. Like it's just right. So don't do that. Right. But you have to pattern interrupt yourself and you can get really crazy with these and like in the middle of like doing something that you know is wrong, you can literally be like, and like something like crazy like that. I know that probably
Tony Robbins say just jump,
jump, yell out loud, yell to yourself, be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't deserve this anymore. And listen, you might be out somewhere and you might look like a cuckoo. And I want to welcome you to the Cuckoo Club because the Cuckoo Club is the cool place to be. Don't worry about fitting in. You're learning to fit out. You know what I mean? You are perfectly okay with everything that's already inside of you.
Actually, that's really cool what you just said about it showing up outside, okay? Outside of your home. That means you're getting there because it's like you catch yourself in the moment. It's like enough with this, just enough. And, that's why I like those incantations. So I think we covered this. I think this is. And
listen, I've seen plenty of people driving down the road completely losing their shit, being like yelling at like absolutely nothing. They've now. So, and all I do is I go, oh, wow. And I keep driving. So worst case scenario, you're playing the story in your head of what you think other people are going to think more so than actually what the reality is. We're really good at doing this too, making up these freaking fake stories in our brain of nothing. So don't worry about it. It's totally worth it. Okay. Anything else? We're done on this, right?
My recap on this is focus not on the behavior, but what's driving it. Gently question everything, observe yourself and what you're doing, and flow with it. Yeah. No judgment. We don't judge in ER shred.
No.
So you don't do it.
And the question everything is huge, because that's ultimately like, that's basically what this is. Like, we're getting you to question everything. No more like, it's the same thing with foods. Like, you're not just going to eat broccoli because you think it's healthy. You're going to eat it only if it serves your body, right? And the same thing goes for everything else. I can go down the line, but question everything, literally, right? Question everything. Even stuff like skincare, deodorants, shampoos, conditioners, sunscreen. Guys, these are all things that you can really start to get into in the bigger picture, which is where we talk about, this is lifestyle. This is ER shred. This is bigger picture. Like, everything just starts with 11-day, but it's so much more. Okay, Susan, let's get into this. There is something that people, when they are trying to get healthy, they take this for granted, and it is one of the most powerful things that you can try to get better at. What am I talking about?
Sleep.
Sleep. Yeah. And people are going to go, oh man, my kids, my work, my this, my. I can already hear the excuses. Can you hear them? Can you hear them? I can't get enough. I can't get none. Listen, there are studies, published, peer-reviewed studies, that show people that literally get 6 hours of sleep compared to people that get 7 hours of sleep, the difference in weight loss, the difference in brain function, the difference in the way that you show up, right? And with that, Susan, when it comes to sleep, what do you have to share?
Well, it's funny because we kind of we discount this, and I'm not talking so much about people who have sleep problems, although they exist. It's like 1 in 3 Americans. But people that don't value their downtime and don't make it a priority is more what I see. But it is so important. It's important to your bone health, to hormone regulation, perimenopause, menopause. If you're not sleeping well, all these things become disrupted. And we're going to talk about the sleep spray, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the lead ingredient in there, melatonin. There's so many things. It's produced in our brain, in the pineal gland. It is a hormone. And there's so many things now in our lives, other than if you're blind or you're working a night shift, that disrupt that function and your melatonin, like bright lights, the way I'm sitting in front of bright lights right now in the evening, screen time, our phones, we're always on our phones. So what happens is, and I'm just going to lay this out. I'll do something more on this. Maybe I'll write something. But your hormonal system is a symphony, and every gland works together. And if one plays off key, they all move to bring you to balance. Well, your pineal gland, your light, dark, your sleep, wake, your cycle, your circadian rhythm, the pineal gland is the conductor. So everything comes from there, the conductor, and then the hypothalamus does the arrangement. Mm-hmm. But we're talking tonight about sleep. And so I wanted to give you guys tips that you can do for helping your own production, but also go into that melatonin. Our sleep spray is an amazing formulation. The first ingredient is actually L-theanine, which is great for anxiety and concentration. Melatonin, which is great for your bones, helps your body, helps with weight loss, with the side benefit of sleep. It's intricate in human growth hormone, in depression, it's neuroprotective. There's more and more studies coming out on melatonin. So these are things you can Google. And our sleep spray, it's 1 to 3 sprays. It's a low dose. which you can adjust on your own. And then the other interesting thing about hormones, which melatonin is, even though in this formulation it is a synthetic, your body has its own self-regulation with every hormone. Yeah. And women know that because with estrogen, when it's too much, that's PMS, bloating, crying, mood swings, testosterone, facial hair, acne, feeling aggressive. Same thing with melatonin. If it's too much, you'll get drowsy. But if you feel that, just go down to one spray in the evening. And there's so many benefits. And then, of course, there's the theanine, there's tart cherry in there, there's chamomile, and all of these things. Some women in the group say about hot flashes. Well, this is another formulation that we have that's cooling to the entire body. So, I mean, it's just, I discounted this because I sleep well. And I thought, you know what are you doing here?
Right.
So I started it.
Yeah. So hence another thing, I feel like the sleep spray, number one, we haven't talked nearly enough about it in ER Shred.
I did a great article I posted in there.
Yeah, you did post a great article. So if somebody wants to read more about melatonin, the other factors, the benefits, go into the group, use the search bar, search Susan, and it's one of the most recent articles. I'm sure Heather probably added it to the guide somewhere in Susan's Holistic Corner, where you can find amazing other resources and information that Susan's posted. You're always putting out something. So, sleep, guys, is one of those things where you have to remember that when you sleep, this is the body's number one, creme de la creme, prime time to rest, rebuild, and repair the damage from the day. And we're not just talking about like damage from exercise, which is its own stress factors.
Absolutely.
We're talking about, the toxins that we're breathing in and getting in our body, the free radicals that are getting, that's getting caused. Like, we're talking about all other indicators and factors that you don't have control over necessarily. So you have to honor that time, because if you don't, you'll create this imbalance. And here's the scary part, Susan. You can feel it more as you get older. The problem is, what I'm starting to see 30-year-olds now that are really, really close to burning out. And they have this dangerous combination of not honoring the resting process and the balance of work-life balance and bad nutrition. And it's creating this like double whammy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I can honestly tell you that if you talked to me 20 years ago when I was running like the direct sales marketing companies and such, I was in that position, right? 90 hours a week, every single day. I'll sleep when I die, the macho man like type. This is literally, this was me. And thankfully, nothing's there. When I was in IIN, I was telling Susan before, I was trying to skim through my 3 notebooks to find this, but if there's literally scans, and I think I forgot the doctor, but I'll look it up for you guys. He's like a world-renowned brain researcher.
Dr. Amen.
Yes, Dr. Markey. Yeah, he's done scans of brains, right, of football players and everything. And he showed, in your skull is supposed to be flat. This blew my mind, and this really flipped me into like taking sleep in a priority. But your brain, even, it's supposed to be smooth. And just because of extra stress and pressure and bad nutrition and everything going on and lack of good quality sleep, you actually can create divots. And he showed that just by reversing and getting good quality sleep combined with quality nutrition, meaning not jacking your hormones, like good quality, you can actually reverse that process. And he has scans to prove it. I found that remarkable.
Jesse, what Dr. Amen actually broke it down and specific supplements that he was using. But here's the thing. And he does get great results. I have a friend, her son just is working with him now with addiction issues. But here's the thing. Most of the stuff he uses, we make inside us. Gotcha. And so, we did something in this group, and I want to speak about this just for a minute, about naming diseases and making claims and how to refer to things being compliant. But here's the thing about that. We don't have to talk about all of this because We are top down, bottom up, balancing the body. So when you do that, and when I was looking at the ingredients just in the sleep spray, just in that, and what a powerful protocol we put together here. And I remember, cortisol and stress and what you were talking about before about your brain. And when I was in full blown adrenal fatigue, and the nurses in the group will understand what I'm saying, my cortisol was 5. I was like a frayed wire. And what happened was when I finally got the right botanical, which the actual name was nervous fatigue formula, I was the poster child. And I took it at the dosage I was recommended. I went to sleep and I must have slept for 12 hours. Wow. And back then when I would go for acupuncture, it would be the same thing because it told it was working so deeply on my nervous system. And so when you look at people today who are so stressed, and of course this is a tragedy with children, when you see this, and this is all driven by, we're meant to deal with a lot of these things, but when we're nutritionally deficient, our coping mechanisms go down. And so we fall victim to all of this, all of these types of problems, but very easy in the evening, like tonight. Okay, so I've got a lot of lights around me, but I'll sleep in a dark room. I may put some lavender in my diffuser, and just take it down. It's just something to pay attention to.
There's even things that you can do, you can limit. And again, I know we're sitting on here at, 8:46 on a call, but you can limit blue lights. You can wear these little blue light glasses. They got a really bad reflection right now, so I'm not going to wear them, but I do wear these when I'm working on my computer, or you're even on your phone. So you can limit that blue light because the blue light will literally trigger less melatonin, natural melatonin production. Again, so that and the sleep spray, use the sleep spray, please. Like, it's not just in the pack for no reason. Everything, again, remember, all T's are crossed, all I's are dotted.
Even with all the free radicals in the environment, even the protection against an aging brain is compelling. So that alone, and even if you do one spray, I mean, I was discounting it, and then I started really looking at it, and I thought, you know what? This is a really good thing. Let me do it. And more and more studies, you can research that, you can look into that yourself, but it's a tool in our toolkit and we should be using it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I just found, Dr. Amen, like the thing actually, and sleep, major issue. Less than 7 hours of sleep equals less blood flow to the brain too. And there's all sorts of things that are connected to this, guys. You have no idea. Like, I mean, it's absolutely nuts. Some of the research and stuff. So we'll keep it simple and light and leave it there. Hopefully you got some value with that. And last but not least, let's crack into this. Tomorrow, our 1-year anniversary shredders embark on a 48-hour cellular nutritional fast. My God, Susan, I gotta go for 48 hours. I think I'm gonna die.
It's so annoying.
So real quick, for those people that have never experienced this, for those people that aren't familiar, let's just touch very, very quickly, if you don't mind. First of all, why is cellular intermittent fasting so important? Because have you heard this one before? Well, Susan, my body just does that. My body just cleanses itself.
Yeah, well, listen, this is your wheelhouse, setting up the cleansing. But, intermittent fasting in this way, it takes the load off the body. It helps cellular energy, mitochondrial energy. There's all kinds of things that you go, autophagy, where you're getting rid of your own bad cells.
Hormone regulation.
Absolute hormone regulation.
Natural HGH.
Insulin.
HGH production, human growth hormone, which is normally associated with muscle. But however, what other things does human growth hormone benefit inside the human body?
Well, it has an application to all aging,
Everything, basically, right?
inflammation. I
Skin,
mean,
hair, nails, everything.
everything,
Everything.
everything.
And if you can naturally increase that, that's a positive. If you can regulate your hormones,
Mhm.
that's a positive. If you can get control over insulin sensitivity, that is a major, major, major win, my friends. Like, I can't stress that enough to you. Again, autophagy, like, I don't think you understand. Like, your healthy
That's so
cells can
huge.
literally eat your folded over, sludgy. What happens is you got these lipid proteins, they fold over, they get all sludgy inside, they don't work. Like, think of them as like that. Like, you ever been behind somebody on the highway that just is aggravating, they're like slow, they're not letting you go, whatever. Like, that's that cell, and you can get rid of that cell and then only have like fast moving ones. Like, that's what you can ultimately create in this longevity phase of ultimate health. Like, why would you not want that, right? This aids in that process. And I think a lot of people, I want to shift the mindset real quick if I can, Susan. A lot of people look at this and they say, well, I'm not going to eat. And I want to just help you for a second. Your body has only two ways to source energy. There's only two, no matter what. Okay. You can become what's called fat adapted, which is what we teach people. And we believe that through all of our experience and our resources and trying it ourselves, and I know Susan's on the same page with me, we believe that fat adaptive way of living is the body's primary way. It's also a lot easier, I think. But the other way is you can also fuel off of glucose, carbs, right, and sugars. Like, that's what majority of people do. So when we can shift, and during the cleansing process, the fasting process, when we get to a certain point, okay, our body's going to shift over because we're not putting in outside energy. You have to understand that all food is. You have to stop looking at it as anything but energy. Is it clean energy? Is it dirty energy? Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's calories or energy, okay? So am I choosing clean or that? So by fasting and removing that energy source, you're forcing the body. You see, the body is remarkable. This is where you don't give your body enough credit. Okay, like, you don't understand how amazing you are, for crying out loud. So your body will literally shift, right, Susan, and it will start to
Yep. And you
use
feel
your
that.
stored fat supplies. Now, what most people don't understand is that we store 3,500 calories in 1 pound of body fat. And if that's just visceral body fat, that is useless. That is useless, not needed energy stored because of sludgy processes, and that's a big rabbit hole. There's a lot of reasons for that, okay? But we're going to shift the body. And when we shift the body, this miraculous thing happens. One, our body now eats its own fat. So maybe you're not eating food, but you're eating your own fat. So when you're fasting, you're still eating. You're still eating. Do you understand, right? So you're shaking your head. Like,
Yeah.
it's so, if you grasp this concept, you're still eating. Have you ever heard of a story of somebody getting lost in the wilderness and being found like 28 days later, still alive? Maybe they're hurting, but they're still alive because they found water, but maybe not food.
Mhm.
Guys, you can survive for a long time without food. You can only survive for a couple days without water, but you can survive for a long time without food. Okay. So understand that if you have a lot of stored body fat, you're not hungry. That's your cravings. That's your hormones getting regulated. That's a lot of inside stuff happening. And it's a mindset shift. But you're not starving. You're not doing anything harmful to yourself. This is not a diuretic. You're not spending the day pooping yourself. Like, this is not something like that. Not something like that, right, Susan? This is
Right.
something so. Can you explain like the cleanse itself? Because you're so good at like just a couple of the key things. Like, what is it doing? Because the cleanse isn't the magic, right? The body's the magic.
The
The cleanse
body's the
is
magic. Yeah.
supporting the body. What are some of the key things? Like, why do we actually use that cleanse for life? Why is that so
It,
important?
it just maximizes cellular detoxification. There's Pau d'Arco in there, helps to get rid of yeast and parasites and bugs in the GI tract. Burdock is a blood cleanser. The aloe, it's only the inner fillet. That's why there's no laxative effect. Great for your liver, great for your stomach, great for your, it's just, it gives your body the raw materials it needs. And if you break it down to its essence, it's minerals. All those things carry, all those botanicals carry vitamins and minerals. So all you're doing is just fueling your body all day long for optimum function. Your liver takes that, the Krebs cycle amps up, cellular detoxification, things are dumped out of the liver. As you break down hormones, you're getting rid of stored hormones that shouldn't be in your body, things that are stored in your belly fat. One study, they did a random on samples of belly fat, and there was styrofoam in belly fat. It just makes sense when you think
how many plastics and stuff are in newborns.
Pesticides. So when you think about what your body is exposed to in just a day, to do this and just give your body, let digestion rest, because that takes so much energy, and just fuel that metabolic rate and that mitochondrial energy. And that's why people feel amazing. Their skin glows. It's like euphoric for many of us. And I think a lot of people would agree.
74 billion pounds of pesticides and herbicides are being imported on a yearly basis, published in the journal.
Now, even more than that is how our bodies metabolize excess estrogen in our environment. Yeah. And then you look, just what's going on out there. We don't have to get into all of that. No. Just,
I just wanted people to know that, again, there's a purpose for everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's important to me that people realize that this is not something that's just thrown, we're not just throwing it in because, the mainstream media, made this big deal of timed intermittent fasting. Like, this goes so beyond that. It's ridiculous. The extra benefits of the longevity, especially the autophagy, especially at the 48-hour mark of you will never be more insulin sensitive than you are at that point in time. And friends, like, my God, if I could stress how important that is. Like, oh my God.
It's a key to,
I got to be careful. I know, but it's like, holy smokes, like, just take my word on this. Like, that's a beautiful place. And this is why you want to do this. This is when you're going to struggle a little. This is when you might get a little dizzy. This is when you might get a little lightheaded. This is when you might get a little, oh my God, can I really do this? Like, these are the reasons why. Okay. Like, go ahead.
I want to go into just a little bit also at the vanity aspect and what's happening not on a cellular level. So with the cleanse for life, and then with the collagen bone broth. Okay, so you're supporting your ligaments, your tendons, your inner structure, your soft tissue, skin glows, you're putting nutrients in that calm and soothe the gut for people that have problems with that.
Yep.
So it's just like, if you really just look at the whole thing, it's perfection. It's perfection. And then, of course, what we're eating, so it's just.
And I want people to know, like, we always say, people say Susan, the holistic nurse. I need people to understand that Susan is also a professional herbalist. Listen, I don't know if people realize how much I turn to you. Like, I call Susan. Susan gives me like every cure that I wouldn't even think of. Like, even yesterday with my dad, right? Like,
your dad,
energy, you're like, you need shrooms. And I was like, what? And you're like, here's the link. And I'm like, I don't even literally like ask one question when Susan tells me something. Do I, Susan? I literally, like, she sends me the link, I click it, and she goes, hey, thank you. Because she gets the thing going, Jesse ordered. Like, you got to understand, like, she's speaking. I just wanted to lay this on, Susan, because I feel like sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I just need people to know, like, what the hell you're talking about. So
thank you. But I want to say, and then also, even with that, like, I'm very much into, like, one of my businesses is herbal energetics, because I'm fascinated with not only how plants their energies, but how they interact with tissue. So it's very rare that I would send someone a synthetic vitamin. I usually will use plants, and because they repair tissue. So but I love
And it's funny how plants used in that form versus trying to get them through us digesting, which I don't know if we're necessarily made to do that. I'm starting to question that too a lot, actually. It's amazing the difference in the bioavailability, which is like really
that's a whole nother thing with our nutrients, because we've done the same thing. So I'm just going to use the noni plant, which grows in the South Pacific, right? So my neighbor might be growing it in their backyard. Well, it's a completely different energetic plant. That was the problem of what I put up about kale. It doesn't have the nutrient content that it's supposed to. So now there are things about it that are toxic. And even that we don't understand. It's like this reverence for how we talk to ourselves, our mindset, how we heal, how we take care of our bodies, what we fuel with. This is something that I hope people get back to, because we're magic. We are magic given the right.
We are. And I think at the end of the day, that's really the message. Like, that's the thing with ER Shred is like, at the end, people are realizing this is what makes me the happiest. Literally, this is what makes me the happiest, because I struggled with my own self-identity for a very, very long time. People are learning to love themselves again. People are learning to, you know what I mean? Like, be themselves. They're being supported for who they are. It's just it's a cool thing. So anyways, guys.
I just want to say one thing about that, because what we're watching in people is the walking, talking definition of what holistic health is. Health is all of that.
Yeah. And we're literally watching it to where, it's just, it's crazy. It's just nuts. Like, it's truly affecting lives in careers, in relationships. And so when you say holistic, I need people to understand holistic. This isn't just some superficial, like every nutrition program out there is like, diet and look and fit into the skinny jeans and the little black dress. And okay, great. All that's a great benefit. That's a side benefit, right? And we'll get you there. But when you can start getting this and you can let go of things, like I read something today, some guy gave up his Diet Coke and, had to drink. He drank it every 14 years, 14 years, and then doesn't even want it anymore. And it's just.
That is the depth. That is the depth. And, and that's the power of, just good nutrition. And, there's a lot of ways out there, but I've never experienced a way like this, and I've been around I've done everything. Vegan, vegetarian. I've even done macrobiotic, which you want to talk about annoying. So I've done all of that in my
I learned that from Josh, who is the owner of IAN. Yeah, he studied macrobiotics. It's like,
it was a full-time job. But, and then at the end of the day, what got me well was something very close to this. And, thousands of dollars spent on supplements and, different holistic practitioners. And I guess it was all good, but I'm so glad that those things are behind me. And we see that every day happening in the group,
I just don't,
transforming their lives.
Yeah, this is there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of everything here. So, I hope you guys got some value out of that. I think we laid it down, what I would love is if, first of all, for those, a lot of you stayed on, thank you for your time. We appreciate you. Drop into the comments. Let us know what's something you pulled away from that. What are one or two key things that you took from Susan, myself, whatever the case may be. I want to just kind of see what you guys are getting from that, where we can kind of go. I know Susan and I talk about this. We want to bring more. So if you have ideas of what you want, let us know. We can get into depth on these different topics. Sometimes we just take one thing, and then with Susan and I, we're like the same brain and a different thought process. So we can just kind of like roll it and flow it, and it goes, and it's really awesome. So real quick, tomorrow you start. I hope we gave you enough empowerment. I hope we gave you enough stuff with mindset. I hope we gave you enough reasons of why we want to do a nutritional cleanse, not something because it's just mainstream, not because we're on the cleanse train, for no other reason, because you deserve the benefits of what's going to come from it. You deserve the benefits of what's going to come from it. What you're doing with that and how you're honoring your body and allowing your body to come back and give it back what it deserves to have and feel, that's what you're doing. So tap into the group. Remember, one of the biggest things that you can do is show up. You got to freaking show up, right, Susan? You got to show up for the calls. You got to show up in the group. You got to make the time. Like, you are worth it. You have to learn to put yourself first, because when you do that, I promise you, you're going to find a lot of other time to finish everything else, because you're going to have a lot more freaking energy. You're going to feel a lot more love inside. You're going to feel a lot better every single day. And when you have all of that clicking for you, all the things that you thought were crazy, all the things that you couldn't manage, all the time things, like all of a sudden these things start to balance themselves out.
Everything's
and start
easier.
to think bigger picture. Stop thinking so superficial. Get the frick off Instagram and stop looking at these fake, influencers. Like, I can literally show you real life, because I know some, like, no, do this for you and you only. I need you to get this right. If you can get this right, which I appreciate, it takes time, and I appreciate it takes work. But if you can get this right, this will be cliche, but it's so true. Anything that you set your mind to, you can freaking do, right? The whole concept around the greatest secret in the world is not a secret at all, actually, my friends. Every single philosopher in history, and you can go back and I can give you quote after quote after quote where this has been proven, okay? Every single philosopher agreed on this one thing. They disagreed on everything else, but they agreed on this one thing. You are what you think about most. It took me a long time to grasp that concept, but you are what you think about most. And if you can learn to only put in the good and to feed the brain what it needs and to work on that daily, and you believe that you can, you damn sure can. And when you need a lifting hand, you jump into the community, because that is what this community is all about, is empowering others and lifting others up. So, Susan, I appreciate your time as always. I hope I can't imagine people not getting it. I got to go back and look at the comments because I couldn't keep up. There was some really deep comments in there that I know that you're going to love. So we appreciate you guys for showing up. Showing up is definitely the key to that, and then consistency, because consistency trumps all. So appreciate you, Susan. Love you to death.
Good night, everybody.
Tomorrow night, 8:00, shred your testimonial call. Thursday night, share the shred call. And then next Tuesday, we'll get back into another interview like we do every single Tuesday. So appreciate you. Love you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.